let's get to it. We are now about 48-ish hours away from kickoff of the state championship games.
Whoa!
At AT&T Stadium in Arlington. 4 title games, 5A Division 2, 5A Division 1, 6A Division 2, 6A Division 1, 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock each day, live on Fox Sports Southwest. And each game has its own flavor. We've got, of course, your big preview of it at texasfootball.com/state. But what I want to do is I want to give you a bit of a Cliff's Notes version of what to watch for and the keys in each of these games. Because to me, my question is going to be, can you my question is going to be like for each of these games, there's one question that the way that question is answered is going to determine how that game is probably going to go. Not the only question.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it's the overarching fact of, like, this has to happen.
Yes, I would agree. So that's what that's kind of how I went about this process of coming up with one big question that is probably the question whose answer will inform the winner of the game. Okay? We'll go big to small. We'll start with 6A Division 1. 6A Division 1, my question is, can Carroll run the ball effectively? If you go back to their win in the semifinal over Duncanville, Quinn Ewers was pretty good.
And then Owen Allen
But it was Owen
showed
Allen.
up to the party.
It was the running game with Owen Allen that really led the charge for the Dragons. And it's strange to say, but the less that they ask the number one prospect in the state, arguably in the nation, in the class of 2022, to do in the game, the better their chance of winning the game is. Because if you are one-dimensional against Austin Westlake's defense,
they're going to eat you for dinner.
You're toast. It's over. If they go out there and they say, Quinn Ewers, we need you to throw the ball 60 times to win this game,
it's not going to happen.
then they're not going to win the game. Like, I'm telling you right now. They have got to get the running game going to at least take some of the pressure off of Quinn Ewers and to prevent that Westlake defense from just pinning their ears back and coming after him. It's absolutely critical for Carroll to run the ball effectively. If they run the ball effectively, then that offense is going to be cooking, and then you got a fantastic ball game on your hands. But if it is Quinn Ewers versus the world, as good as Quinn Ewers is, and he's spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
As good as he is, he can't do it alone. He has got to have a running game get going, and I think if Carroll runs the ball effectively, they're in the driver's seat. And if they don't run the ball effectively, it's Westlake's game to lose.
And it's like you said yesterday that you're anticipating Carroll to come out with maybe a trick play at some point in the first to kind of shake things up, and I think that's the key is they have to be able to keep Westlake's defense on their toes, because if you let them get comfortable,
got to keep them off balance.
You're not getting anything offensively.
That defense is too good and too well coached.
You just have to shake them up.
For you to just play them straight up. You have got to get them uneasy. And so I think running the ball with Owen Allen especially is going to be critical to Carroll's chances in this game. That's 6A Division 1. 6A Division 2, my question is, can Cedar Hill's linebackers hold up? I don't think there's really any secret about how Katie's offense is going to operate in this game.
The Davis brothers.
They're going to run the ball. 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 And as a result, it is going to be up to guys like Damari Ward, and it's going to be up to guys like Jaheim Lowe to get off of blocks and make plays. Okay, I think the Cedar Hill defense, especially in the front seven, is pretty underrated. I think they get a bit of a bad rap because there were some games earlier in the year where they kind of got lit up. I think they've grown up as the season has gone on. That front is pretty ferocious. It is going to be up to those linebackers to have gap integrity, to make sure that they're closing and they're flying to the football, and they are keep making sure that these Jalen and Seth Davis runs are for 2 yards and not 20. They can't miss tackles. They've got to be extremely sound in this, because that's the thing. If Cedar Hill's linebackers hold up, then suddenly Katie's going to be facing a lot of 3rd and 8s. And Katie doesn't want to live in 3rd and 8.
No.
Okay, they are not built to convert 3rd and 8 in obvious passing downs with any sort of consistency. That's just not how they're built. But 3rd and 2, Whole playbook's open for them.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of this comes down to whether or not the Cedar Hill linebackers, and especially over the course of 48 minutes, when you're getting pounded and pounded and pounded, can they hold up for 48 minutes? If they do, Cedar Hill can win this game.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like, too, it's like Cedar Hill's defensive backs have proved themselves just with their regular season play because they face a lot more of the air raid spread type offenses. This is I agree with the big test for the linebackers because honestly, when you look at their schedule, I don't think Cedar Hill has faced many like hard hitting run heavy teams.
I don't think they've faced any like real
powerhouse
power eye teams that they're going to face like Katy. Like they faced Aledo, but A, that's a 5A Division II team, and B, that was like the second game of the year. Aledo had just moved DeMarco Roberts over to running back, and furthermore, that is a little bit more of a get to the outside and win with your speed type running game as opposed to off left guard type running game.
And it shows too the defensive back needs to be ready because I will say after seeing Katy play last week, they will shake it up and they'll convert a long passing play every now and then. So it's like they need to capitalize on that because their linebackers are going to be tired.
Well, and here's the other thing about it, okay? And this is where Katy shines is if they are running the ball for 5-6 yards a clip, then you got to load up the box. And that's when they pull and go play action, and then they have some guy running wide
all
open
the way down
on a seam route, and Caleb Koger is going to hit him on the money.
Yep.
So it's absolutely critical for Cedar Hill to come up with big stops from their linebackers. They have got to play their best game of the year to win this game. 5A Division I. How do Cedar Park's defensive backs match up with Ryan's wide receivers? One of the things that I'm really impressed with by Ryan is not just how good their individual playmakers are, especially at the receiving spots. But one thing I am extremely impressed with is the depth. The depth that they have at the receiver spot. We talk a lot about Jatavian Sanders and Billy Bowman, but when you're talking about Jaden Bailey, you're talking about Keegan Cunningham, who had a big game last week. Michael Davis, right? They are a deep receiver core, and they are a big and physical receiver core, especially when you're talking about Sanders. Obviously, he kind of steals the show in that regard. So it's going to be, and one of the things about Cedar Park is that obviously, I don't need to tell anybody who pays attention to high school football that Cedar Park's got a good defense, right? The Black Rain defense is fantastic. Their secondary is obviously very good, but it tends to be smallish.
They are going to be quite undersized going up against a Jatavian Sanders.
Compared to the Ryan receiver core, they are undersized. Yes, from just a physical perspective.
Standpoint.
Not from a skill perspective, just from a physical perspective. And so my question is going to be, how do the defensive backs for Cedar Park match up with Ryan's wide receivers? I'm really interested to see what kind of if they come out in man. If they come out in man, then they've got to believe that they can match up with them and hold guys like Jatavian Sanders.
They're quick, which helps to just kind of they just need to throw them off in the actual route running itself because you can't let Jatavian go. You can't stop him from getting the one-handed catches.
I would also be very interested to see if there is some sort of adjustment. Like, let's just say they go out there and they start out in, hypothetically, they start out in man and suddenly it's 14-0 Ryan. I wonder if they switch over to zone. I'm very interested to see what the defensive game plan is against a receiver core that is a physical advantage for Ryan. That's what I'm interested in seeing. So that's my big question for the 5A Division I title game. And 5A Division II title game, can Crosby play the trenches to a draw? For all we talk about the playmakers that Aledo has, the reason they're going for title number 10 is because they're always excellent up front. Always one of the, if they're not the best, they're one of the very best teams at the 5A Division II level in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. For Crosby's a team whose offensive line and defensive lines are good.
They're big humans.
They're good, but to me, Aledo will have an advantage in the trenches. Aledo has an advantage in the trenches over a lot of teams. Crosby is one of those teams. It is absolutely critical, and I mean, like, it is absolutely critical that Crosby plays the trenches to a draw. What you saw last year, for example, let's go back to the 2018 title game. Fort Bend Marshall and Aledo, first time they played. The reason Aledo blew them out is because Fort Bend Marshall could not match up front, plain and simple. 2019, Fort Bend Marshall matched up much better up front, and as a result, it was a much closer game.
That was a good game.
Is this a lot more like the 2018 game or the 2019 game for Aledo? Because if Aledo is just absolutely dominating up front, the game is over.
Yeah, they have
over.
Too many weapons.
Crosby has got to play the trenches to a draw. If they do that, then they've got the individual playmakers to win this game with Deniquez, Dunn, and Reggie Branch. But up front, they absolutely, positively have to hold up their end of the bargain. That's the biggest thing for me. So that's one big question to keep an eye on whenever you're watching the 6A and 5A state championship games this weekend at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Of course, we'll have complete coverage at TexasFootball.com, and you can watch them live on Fox Sports Southwest.